What is up, Underworld Ministry? It has been a good amount of time, about 2 or 3 weeks since we've talked, since we've done this. Way too long. But I am very excited to announce that we have a very special announcement tomorrow. And not exactly sure, but around 1 or 2 on my YouTube and on my Facebook and Underworld's Facebook. But that's not why we're here. We are here for a brand new guest. I don't think we've ever done anything in Indiana, especially not this kind of property. Here's our guest. That is right. The Spirit of Marco. A church? I don't think we've ever had a church on this podcast yet, which I am very excited. Why is the church so haunted? It's supposed to be a holy place. I don't know. But I will be here talking to Kate. Let's find out why the church is so haunted. Hey, Kate, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. So, Spirits of Marco. Ever since I messaged you and asked you if you want to come on the show, I've been so curious of this place. So you are the owner of Spirits of Marco, the church. We've talked a little bit about where it is, and you said it the right way, a blimp on the map. It's how small is the town? Like, how do you even find out about this place?
We found this online. We found kind of goes back to how we got the church. We after COVID, we just sold everything. We sold our house, we sold our cars, we sold everything, and we just traveled for a few years. And we were actually in Florida for a while. We went to Mexico, Florida, all along the eastern coast, mostly, primarily Louisiana. But I started getting a little nervous because it'd been a couple of years, and I was a little nervous about not having a house. And we started looking, and I didn't want a traditional house. I just wanted something a little bit different. And there's a website that sells or that lists properties like old hospitals, old churches, old schools, things that don't function as the building that they once were. And we found the church. It was between a church and an old general store. And we picked the church. I think I was just kind of more drawn to the church. But also we could live in the church while we were renovating, we thought. The general store was a total gut. It was cool because it was the upstairs part was an Oddfellows Lodge. And it still had like the signs and things like that. So that one would have been really neat. But it was just in a lot worse shape than the church. And I felt more drawn to the church. I knew nothing about it. I didn't even see the church before we bought it. My husband flew up and looked at it and said, yeah, it's going to take some work, but it's pretty good. It was built in 1869. So for the age and everything, it was in pretty good shape. It had some termite damage and, some things, but we could live in it. And we did for a while. But yeah, that's how I knew nothing about the area. And like you said, it's like a little blip. Like I tried to find information on it. I couldn't find anything about the county, nothing. We got here and, things progressed from there.
I mean, in my notes, it was old church from 150-year-old historic former church in Marco, Indiana. Like, I've never even heard of Marco, Indiana. Like, how small is the town?
It's like 4 streets. It's small. I don't even know if there's 25 houses there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's very small. Probably about 4 streets.
Wow. So you get this house, you get this church, you plan on moving in. did you know that? Well, first, let me ask you: are you into the paranormal? Are you an investigator? Or were you into the paranormal before you bought the church?
Oh yeah. So I grew up in southeastern Kentucky in Appalachia. I
Okay.
think you just, if you grow up there, it's just a part of you. You just,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not, it just is. And I've always been interested in it. I'm pagan, and probably have been most of my life, whether practicing or not.
Yeah.
More practicing more in the last 10 or so years, but
I feel like that's a big thing out of Appalachia. That you
so
get a lot of witches and pagans and
a lot of earth-based, a lot of herbal things. Yeah, my grandma was Native American and Appalachian, so I learned a lot of things from her. I assumed probably that there would be energy in the church, but I think there's energy everywhere. So
absolutely,
whether or not you want to recognize it, we're not the first people to come along. So
no, absolutely not.
And so I figured there would be something. I had no idea it would turn into what it's turned into. And that was not our plan at all. We were going to renovate it into a house and live there. So, but yeah, so I didn't know. I didn't know anything about the history of the area. I knew nothing. We really went in blind.
Wow. And now I actually forgot to do something before we go any further in the story. I do have to play this as a viewer's discretion just because of the content that we are going to be talking about. So either if you're listening or watching, you have been warned. That's your warning. So now when you went in and bought the church and you moved in, did stuff start happening immediately? They're like, hey, we're here.
It was pretty quick. So when the church was initially built in 1869, there was not a basement. In the 1940s, they lifted the church and dug out a basement. It's more like a sub basement. There were windows all around and there was light. It wasn't like a deep, dark dungeon. But that's where the kitchen, because they would have like events and fish fries and things like that down in the basement. Okay. So that's where we actually moved into. We lived in the basement part while we were renovating the upstairs. And and the floor, everything's original. The original hardwood floor, the original stained glass windows. Now it's not like really ornate. It's just the blocks of color. Yeah. There's not like pictures and things like that. But there was no subfloor, so the hardwood was sitting right on the joist. Like, oh wow. Yeah, so we had to take all that up. We did keep it. We want to put it back down eventually, but we had to put in like a subfloor and everything. But before we even got to that part, we had to do some other things to make it a little more livable. But yeah, you could hear. So we were living in the basement part, and you could hear walking upstairs. You would hear footsteps, and you would kind of see shadows. But you're in a new place, and you're in a basement, and there's these windows, and you're not really sure if you're seeing these things or not. And what I always joke about, so my husband, he's a Marine. He never believed any of this. He supported me in my belief, and he would go along on investigations and things like that. Right. But he never really believed it. But then, just more and more things started happening. We would hear it started with the walking, and then the shadows, and then you would hear like whispers. I would go upstairs. We have the original piano from like the late 1800s, but there was a more, I think I sent a picture of that. There was a more modern piano. Yeah, that's it. But
I like the two little dolls on top.
Well, there's a story about the doll too. the male doll. But one night I heard walking up there, and I went upstairs and I said, I can hear you. Do you want to talk? And just like I don't play piano, but just like those ting, 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 just like this real kind of high pitch, just like three little, I heard that. And I was like, I can hear you. It was silent for like 2 weeks. It was like completely silent. And I thought, oh no, I've scared them away. But they came back. And I always tell people, now before we did the investigations, I think maybe some things may have came in, or maybe we've allowed some things to come in, but it always felt more subtle. It was a more subtle energy. It was more feminine. It felt very feminine, very childlike. Since in the last few months, it has seemed a little more male energy. And there's actually one energy that's a little, not, I wouldn't say aggressive, and it's definitely not negative, but it's more male. I feel like it's a more male energy.
Okay.
But yeah, so things just kind of progressed from there. And one night we were lying in bed, and it was maybe, I don't know, 11 o'clock. And I had the doorbell cameras. They were off the charger, off the porch. They were charging. Yeah. And my phone pinged and said, someone's at the side door, or side door motion, whatever it says. And I knew the cameras were on the counter. So I grabbed my phone. And as soon as I grabbed my phone, we heard loud, like heavy footsteps running from one end of the church all the way to the other end.
Oh, no.
So my husband he grabbed a big mag light, because there's a story about one of the neighbors in the area too. But he thought he had gotten in, and he ran upstairs, and there was no one there. There was no one in the church. Everything was locked. And he came back down, and he just kind of had a look. And I said, tell me, you heard that. Tell me, you can't deny all these other things that I've been hearing.
Absolutely.
And he goes, I have. He goes, but I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to acknowledge it. And I said, well, now you have to, because you flew up those steps thinking someone was in here, and there's no one in here. Right. So he's finally, so that was like a huge kind of turning point, I think, for me, because honestly, he didn't not believe, but he needed that proof. Like, he wanted something that couldn't be explained some other way. Right. There was no explanation for that. We'd have things like, we had a trash can that was motion activated lid, and it was under a counter, and we would hear smack, and it would just be, and I would be like, something, and it was always back in that same corner. And right. That's where we would hear like the shuffling sounds and the whispers and things like that. So it's just things like that would happen.
So do you know any history about the church? Like what was it built for? What kind of church? What stuff happened at the church?
So there's a couple of stories that I've been able to find on the church. Again, it's a tiny, tiny little place, so it's very hard to find any kind of documentation. Right. But what I went to, the Historical Society, those ladies were like, lady, we don't have anything else. You've got everything, because I would go so much. But there's a story that so when the town was first being formed, it was back about a half a mile away, back where the cemetery is. And there's a creek that runs behind the church, and it runs off of the White River, which is kind of significant for some of the true crime type stuff that's associated with it. But and then that was like their main source of trade. Well, then they put the railroad in the late 1860s, and the railroad's probably, I don't know, a half mile away, or probably closer than that. You can see it from the church. But when they were putting the railroad in, there was a story about a railroad worker named George, and he was from Virginia. And at the time, so they moved the town over on the other side of the creek for the railroad to be a source of trade. And so this is in 1871. So there was like a big train depot. There was a doctor's office, a doctor's house with a doctor's office, a bank, a post office, it was like a little railroad town. And this man, George, he was working on the railroad, and there was an accident, and they took him to the doctor's office. He was injured pretty badly, and they took him to the doctor's home, and he said he wanted to go to the church. He was very religious, and they took him to the church, and he died there later that evening. Now, that's the only known death. I'm sorry?
He died in the church?
In the church, yeah.
Okay.
That's the only known death that we know of documented in the church. There's been plenty of funerals in the church. And And then there's another story that was in 1871. Now I did find a George in the cemetery from 1871, but I don't know if that's him. I haven't been able to trace that back enough.
Okay.
But people have told me that they've made contact with George, and they said that he's very friendly, but he's sad because he didn't, back then, if they could even do it, it was very expensive to preserve a body and transport it back. That'd be a 2-week long trip or something. Yeah. And so they said that he's very friendly, but he's sad because he's not buried with his family. So I don't know. I do feel like sometimes we've gotten some things on our equipment and some things to indicate that maybe George is still hanging around. But I don't know. When you get there, you can see.
Yeah.
And then there's another story. So when the church was first built, this is actually documented from the Historical Society. There were pagans, atheists, and Christians in the area, which I was really surprised that they were all recognized. But they all went together and built the church. The whole community built the church and used the church. So it was used by Christians, atheists, and pagans. And there's a story from the late 1880s that there was a young Christian man, that fell in love with one of the pagan women. And she didn't want anything to do with him. She just wasn't interested in him. And he thought that it was a religious thing that, because he wasn't pagan. So he thought if he became pagan, that she would be interested in him. So he didn't understand what paganism was. He just thought it was some crazy religion, but he opened himself up, and something dark took advantage of that. And after a while, he became very aggressive, very mean, just totally not the person he was. And the church, the family came to the church and said, "We need help. Something's wrong with our son." So they agreed. They called them prayer sessions. Now, it wasn't a possession. It was more like an oppression situation. Okay. Yeah. And the church agreed to have these prayer sessions with him. And it took months, possibly a couple of years, because we know that when the church was first built, it was the Methodist Episcopalian Church. Okay. And we know that between 1889 and 1891, the Episcopalian bishop visited 4 times. So they think that was part of those prayer session things that were happening. And so finally, this young man got out from under this oppression that he was under. And when he realized what he had done, he had disgraced his family. He was embarrassed. He went out in the woods, not on church property, but back behind the church, and hung himself. So some people feel like maybe he's still lurking around. Some people also feel like, because there is such a dark history with violence toward women in that area, that maybe when they rid the man of this energy, they did not rid the town, this area, of the energy, and that dark energy is still lurking around.
So when you say bad things with women in that area, what do you mean?
So there's a long history going all the way back to the late 1800s of women disappearing and women being murdered. It goes. There's a story. I have lots of documentation of different women, but there's a lot of history going all the way back. There's a story of Polly Barnett. Her daughter was supposed to get married. The day before she was supposed to get married, she disappeared. She's never been found. And Polly basically made herself crazy. She drove herself insane. She searched over and over and over for her daughter. She would sleep in barns, churches, people's porches. She relied on the charity of others. The church was never locked. The church was always open to the people. Right. And it's rumored that she actually slept in the church at different times, on her search. Multiple teams, and we've heard it ourselves. We've heard a woman's voice saying, "Help me." Now, I've always wondered if that's Polly, or is that one of these women that have gone missing? So all the way back, even more to recent. So from as far back as I can find to more recent times, there's a history of violence toward women missing, women turned up murdered. In the 1920s, the KKK came into Indiana with a force. And we know that church members were members of the KKK, and they had meetings at the church. That's where I said that doll that's on that piano. My husband was up in the bell tower area. Yeah, the male doll on the right. My husband was up in the bell tower. He had to reinforce that floor. The ceiling was just crumbling down. And he was up there and he was doing the floor. And he found that doll up in the bell tower as you cross over into the attic. Now, there's no evidence that it was ever part of the Underground Railroad or anything like that. I don't know where that doll came from, but it's just a weird thing to have up. I mean, you have to use like a 30-foot extension ladder. The female doll, a friend of mine found her at a thrift store and got him a mate, but the male doll is the one that was found in the church. And some people feel like it has ties to the KKK activity in the area. I don't know. We do know that between 1994 and 1998, 4 women went missing from the immediate area. One person, a man, confessed to one of the women was his wife. He confessed to killing her and dumping her body down an empty mine shaft. Her body's never been recovered. There was a 78-year-old woman that disappeared from the cemetery a half a mile away. The same man was questioned in her disappearance. And then within a 25-mile radius, maybe 10 miles in one direction and 10 miles in the other of the church, there were 2 other women that went missing. Their bodies were found. One woman that lives just south of the church, she disappeared. Her body was found in an area north of the church, about a mile from where the other lady disappeared from. And that lady's body was found about a mile from where the other lady lived. So there's like, some people feel like there's this area that maybe this person hunted.
Yeah.
We don't know, but there's some weird stuff that happens there. There's a lot of secrets in that area.
Well, now when you say like KKK, do you know if there was any hangings in that area in the church, around the property?
Not in the church, but the next town, I guess the next biggest town, and which is very small. It has a population of like 5,000 people. Linton, if you Google sundown towns in Indiana, Linton will come up today. And there's rumors, there's like a big, as you enter town, there's like a big arching sign that says you'll like Linton or you'll love Linton or something like that. Yeah. There's rumors that that's where the lynchings would happen, that's where they would hang the people. We do know also that the bell at the church, they would ring the bell at sundown to signify it's time to get inside or we're going to come get you. It's a big coal mining area. God. There's a lot of coal mines in the area. Coal mines, a lot of the miners would strike, especially back in those days. And the minorities would come in and take the jobs. And they think that's a lot of the activity because, they were interfering with their livelihood. Right. They saw it that way. So that was a very, very, I heard from a lifetime resident that every person, every council member, every judge, every attorney, even your doctors were all part of the KKK back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a really dark, there's people hold some really, there's a lot of secrets in the town. You can tell there's a lot of secrets.
Well, I'm going back to being a railroad town. I mean, anybody can grab somebody. We have the same problem now with the children trafficking and sex trafficking.
Right.
Same thing. But how do you know that somebody didn't just get grabbed and drugged and thrown on the train and the train leaves?
Right. Right.
Was there most train places, most train depots and little towns have brothels, have some kind of something like that? Was it like sex workers that were disappearing, or were they just random people?
I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about the, back in the 1800s. As far back as I found was the Polly Barnett daughter story. No one's told me there was a brothel, but they told me that they've torn down all these buildings. The church and maybe 3 other buildings are the only original buildings still standing. But they told me there was like a big hotel with a big part of the train depot. It was like a major stop. So I would assume that there probably was a brothel there at some point. I don't know that. No one's ever admitted it. They're pretty well, they claim to be very religious people. And they're very private. And me being an outsider, I've basically had to drag information out of anybody I can get it out of. So
Fair enough.
That's probably been the biggest challenge, is because, like I said, I knew nothing. I knew not one person when we moved in here. We moved to this place and just kind of took a leap and decided we were going to have some fun and renovate this church. And so now there's some locals that are more than willing to talk, and they'll tell all. And then there's some that are very private. They don't want their secrets told.
So when you said the 87-year-old at the cemetery, was this a human that was taken, or was that like grave robbing taken?
Oh no. She was a live woman. She was her brother was buried up there, and she was there. It was in I think it was in autumn. Maybe it was October. She was putting a pumpkin on her brother's grave. And the people that take care of the cemetery, the family, they noticed her car there all day. And the closest house is probably a quarter of a mile away. Yeah. But they had seen her car. And after it had been there for, 5-6 hours, they went over. Her trunk was open. The pumpkin was there. Her car keys were there. Her purse was there with money in it. And she's never been found.
Wow.
And now the guy that killed his wife, he told me he's out of jail. He's out of prison. He only served 15 years. We hired him to do some work, to chunk up some concrete and stuff. The very first time I met him, we didn't know anything about this. Wow. But the very first time I met him, he was doing some work for us. And because he's kind of like the little local handyman. And he told me that he was in prison. He was part of the KKK and all these crazy stories. And I said, well, why were you in prison? And he said, I killed my wife. And I'm just looking at him like, what? Yeah, like it was nothing. Like, oh, I had a ham sandwich today for lunch.
Yeah, what did you say to that?
And I was like, huh. And so he tells me this crazy story. That he tells me his version of it. But here's the weird part. So he told me, this crazy. It was like a heat of the moment thing, whatever. And then he got scared, and he worked in the coal mines at the time. And he got scared, and he set her body up like a passenger, drove her to a coal mine that he worked at, and dumped her body down a mine shaft that he knew was abandoned, that they would never get into. So he told everybody for 4 years, he told everybody that she ran off with someone. And so he told this lie for 4 years. Shortly after she was murdered, this is when this lady disappeared from the cemetery. And he told me himself that they left the cemetery and came to his house and questioned him in her disappearance. He also told me that they questioned him in those other 2 ladies' disappearances. So I've not found anything from.
That's really weird, that situation and the placement of the bodies right around this dude's house. Like,
yeah. So, and nothing has come from law enforcement. There's no evidence that he's tied to these other women, other than him telling me himself that he was questioned in their disappearances.
Wow. Aaron said a good thing too. With the coal mining, there was a lot of accidents that went undocumented. So there's that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. No, not Pittsburgh Hospital. The old hospital on College Hill. That was the old mining.
Oh yeah.
Hospital. And there's every single day there was somebody there hurt or dying or and then the railroad. There's
right. It's just like George,
stacks. And this
a lot of people tell me, and you'll know when you see it. Like, I can't remember how I felt the first time I saw it, because like I said, we had bought it. It was like 3 weeks later. Everything,
Yeah.
like we sold everything. Everything we owned was in like a 20-foot utility trailer. And
Wow.
and that was stored at my husband's parents' home when we were traveling. And we went and we picked it up, drove over to the church. And so I don't remember like if I felt like that energy shift or anything, but almost everybody that comes there tells us when they cross those railroad tracks, they feel a different energy. And I know that there's definitely at nighttime, during the daytime, it's a little eerie because it's deathly quiet out there. It is so
Yeah.
quiet, which I really love. But at night, it's a different energy. It's truly just I can't even explain it. It's a different energy.
That's awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will be there with Aaron September 26th from Tennessee Shadow Chasers. So Tennessee Shadow Chasers and Underworld Ministry will both be there investigating Marco.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait.
I'm very, very excited. So you said that there's a story about this piano, which I'm very curious about.
Oh, just that it wasn't that piano. It was the newer piano, just that it played. Now we do have one recording of this one playing on its own, and we've heard it twice, but we only have one recording, and it's just like that ting ting ting, just like that real light. Yeah. Yeah, that was the only story, was that when I heard them walking and I went upstairs and I said, I can hear you, and I heard the piano play.
Okay. Got ya.
Yeah.
So just looking at this area, what is this the cemetery that the church was near, or?
Yes, that's the Marco Cemetery. So that kind of goes with the church. I don't own it. I wish it was closer, and I did, but it's actually an operating cemetery today. Like there was a funeral there just a couple weeks ago. So
wow.
It's still an active cemetery. Yeah.
Is this the same cemetery that the lady was kidnapped in?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I wonder if there's.
So I always tell everyone when they're there to go up to the cemetery. We've investigated the cemetery a few times. As long as you're respectful and you're not up there making a lot of noise and doing crazy stuff, no one's ever said anything to us. But I always encourage everyone to just walk around the town, especially the bridge. We get a lot of stuff like with water. Some of these missing and murdered women have been found in the White River, which the creek that runs behind us branches off of the White River. So some people feel like there's some energy in the water there.
Right.
But a lot of times on our equipment, we'll get bridge and water and things like that. So we'll kind of go and investigate around the bridge. We've got some interesting things there too.
Yeah.
We've got in the bell tower area, there's a crawl space that's original to the church. It's like a dirt floor. So yeah, the front part there, under the steps going up, there's like a crawl space there that you can access from the in the basement. And we've got like dig here and buried here. Now I'm not digging in there at all. We found a woman's shoe in there, an old-fashioned woman's shoe. I didn't send you that picture, but when my husband was first in there, when he was looking at the floors and stuff, he goes, "There's a shoe in here," and I was like, "Just put it back," because there's other reasons. Some people will leave shoes, and there's like protection things, and it could just be a random shoe. We don't know. It could just be anything. But I said, put it back. Just don't mess with it.
Back in the 1800s, they would put shoes up there to ward off the evil. They would put the intent and protection in the shoe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of think that's what it is. And then I was telling a team the story about the man that I was just telling you about. And one of the ladies used to be a corrections officer. And she said, "Do you think he left something here? Because he always wants to come in the church. He always is trying to get in the church." And not like break in, but you know, if we have materials delivered, he always wants, "Oh, let me help you bring it in," or things like that. And I was telling these ladies that, and the lady used to be a corrections officer, and she said, "Do you think he left something here, like a souvenir?" Because he had no reason to think it was going to be anything but a church.
Right.
so I was like, I don't know. And then I remembered that shoe because I had kind of forgotten about the shoe. I told my husband, just put it back, leave it alone. And after that, I went and got the shoe. We got the shoe out. And I don't know if I sent you the video of that piece of wood falling from the crawl space door. I thought I sent it. But that happened. That door has been that.
We're going to get into the videos here in a minute.
Okay. But that door had been that way from the whole time since the day we moved in. And after I removed that shoe is when a piece of that wood came flying out of the door.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they I don't know if you watch any of like the paranormal shows or anything. Kindred Spirits with Amy and Adam. They had the same situation. The guy was scared that he was scared of the shoe in the attic because they thought it was crazy demon type of thing. And yeah, they took the shoe out of the attic and the whole house started going crazy.
Oh, wow.
The May Stringer house here in Florida in Brooksville, actually. The Jessie May, there's a little girl that died in the house. And if you move her doll, if you move her baby, can't call it a doll, she gets mad. If you call it her baby,
no.
If you move her baby from that room, she will go absolutely crazy. And you will know all the way through the house until you bring her baby back into her room and put it in her crib.
Oh, wow.
So I believe in that stuff. Like the spirits are like, no, it's supposed to be right here. Why is it not right here? Where is it? And they I feel like they're going crazy until they find it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm really careful to tell them what we're doing. I always talk to them and tell them we're doing this to save the church. We're not trying to change it. We're not trying to disturb you. You can stay here as long as you want. You're safe. No one's going to hurt you. No one's going to make you leave. So I'm really careful. That's why I don't want people to do cleansing and things like that. You can do it outside, but not inside the church. Okay. But I always tell them, and before we do any kind of major, like we built, when we first bought it, there was a drop ceiling, and I'm assuming for heating and cooling purposes. Right. And my husband was up poking around one day, and he saw this really cool molding, like I don't know what to describe it, but it was really cool edges around the top of the ceiling. And he's like, we have to take that ceiling down. So we took it down. It gave us enough room that we could build a loft. We could build a second story into the church. And so we built, that's the only walls because it's just me and my husband. So everything's going to be open. And it's not a super big church. But everything will be open. There's just one wall in the back. There'll be the bedroom, closets, and bathroom, and then a loft over that area. But but they were very upset when we were building that. Like, what are you doing? And then of course, we took the pews out, we took the altar area out, and they let us know that they noticed, and we just kept telling them, like, everything is still going to be okay. It's okay. We're not. Yeah. You can stay. So
now, when you get done with are you done with the renovations? Or are you still going?
Gosh, no. Oh, okay. It is so slow. It is. We can't find anybody to do any work, and then my husband does a lot himself. No, it's going to be a while.
Okay. So when you like the grand plan of what you want to do when it's like finished and you like what you see in your head, are you bringing some of that stuff back? The pews, are you making it look like a church still, or are you making it look like a home?
We're going to keep as much original as we can, and we're going to keep the time period as much as we can. Okay. It won't be super modern. Of course, the kitchen will be more modern, but we'll keep it as much to the time as we can. And as far as grand plans, we don't know. We did buy another house because, like I said, after living a year in that basement, it was just too much. And then this whole paranormal thing took off. So then we had teams coming in. So, we couldn't really be there while they were there. We could, but it just wasn't as good. So we did buy another house. So I don't know if we'll eventually move back into it, make it a haunted Airbnb, or I don't know. We're not really sure what we'll do with it yet. I don't know.
Got you. Fair enough. I just figured I'd ask.
Yeah.
So let's get into some. There's a good amount of videos. So what I like to do, I don't watch any of the videos until I watch them now. So they're literally live reactions to the videos.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's a lot better for me. I get a better experience. The viewers get to see my reaction, I guess. I don't. So we'll play the videos and then we'll talk about the video after the video gets done playing.
Okay.
So let's play the first one. So do you guys have that a lot?
I'm sorry.
So do you guys have that activity a lot? Stuff
pretty often. Yeah, we so that's the one I was telling you. That's the crawl space. There's like a door. It's like a slatted door up into the crawl space, and that's where the shoe was. And after we took the shoe out of there, that's when that piece of that door came flying off.
Oh, all right. Now that I know what it is, I want to watch it one more time.
Okay.
Wow. So is that like the front steps of the church to like walk into the church?
So that's if you go in the side door. If you go down, that goes down into the basement, and if you go up those couple steps, that goes up into the main part of the church.
Okay. Now, you said you haven't dug anything up. You haven't even tried to dig anything. Would you let investigators dig if they asked? I
don't know. I mean, I probably wouldn't mind. There's spiders in there, so if you want to get in there, and it's a small opening, and it's like you can't stand up in there. It's just like you're lucky to get on your hands and knees, and like we had to run electric. We had to redo all the electric and stuff, so the electrician got in there, and like it was pretty tight, but. I mean, we have been told on the Ovilus to dig here. And I've been afraid to because I don't want the church to be a crime scene.
That's fair.
But it's, I am kind of curious. Some people have said, well, wouldn't some of these missing women, if someone is in there, wouldn't you want them to be returned to their loved ones? And I don't know. There's so much to think about with that. But I mean, I guess if somebody was in there digging around and they uncovered something, we could deal with it when it happens.
Yeah. Can you imagine that phone call? Be like, Kate,
we got a leg boot here.
You might want to call the cops, or do you want me to call the cops, or what do you? We can't investigate here anymore, unfortunately.
That would be wild. That would be wild.
That'd be great content, though.
Oh yeah. I would be so weirded out to know because, like, I've been there a lot by myself. Because my husband, he's a truck driver, and so he's home every night, but his hours are crazy. And so I've been home a lot by myself. Now we do have 2 dogs, which is kind of funny. We only had 2 cats when we moved in, and I didn't want animals right now because we just have so much other things going on. But the reason we got the 1 dog, the man that killed his wife, he always wants to talk to my husband. And he came down, or he saw my husband out one day, and he came down and wanted to know if we had a gun he could borrow. And my husband's like, yeah, I'm like, you're a convicted killer. Like, no. And my husband says, yeah, right. So my husband goes, we have guns, but you can't borrow one. What do you need a gun for? And he said, he goes, I have to shoot my dog. And he goes, what do you mean you have to shoot your dog? And he said, he goes, well, I've got 4 feet of water in my basement. Apparently, like, I don't know if the water table is high, low, whatever it is, but a lot of the houses will get water in the basement.
Okay.
Luckily, we've not had, like, if it rains like for a lot, we'll get like a little bit along the edges of the basement, but we've never had like flooding or anything.
Right.
He told him that there's like 4 feet of water in the basement, and there's mold all in his house, and his dog has mold poisoning, and he has to kill it. He has to put it down. So my husband said, take it to a vet, and they can just give it a shot, and it's a humane way to do it. And so then he goes, what's wrong with your house? And he said, there's all this mold and this and that. So when you see it, you'll know that it looks like a junkyard. Like, I'm not even lying. He does like these handyman jobs, and he gets all this junk. He's got all this junk sitting around. So my husband said, why don't you take all this junk you've got sitting around, fill in your basement, concrete over it, and get rid of the water, and then you can clean up the mold. And he said, I swear to you, he said this. He said, I know I'm going to make a dungeon and put a woman down there. Now, I don't know if he thought he was funny. I don't know if it was a joke. I don't know. But somebody that was convicted of killing his wife probably shouldn't be joking like that. No. So we went that week, and we got our pit bull dog. And he's the sweetest dog, but he's very protective, especially with me. And whenever he sees him, he will stand in front of me, and he'll get a ridge on the back of his hair will raise up, and he'll get that real low growl. And he knows, and I trust a dog's opinion. I was driving back from Florida with just me and the dog. My daughter had got a new car, and I was driving her old car back. And it was like 3:00 in the morning, and I was at a gas station. I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at my phone or whatever, and the dog was over in the passenger seat. And before I even knew what happened, he had jumped over the console, was in my lap, and was clawing and at the window. And there was this creepy looking guy on the corner of the building staring at me. I didn't even see him, but Loki saw him. Loki knew, like, this guy is bad news. And that's the only 2 times I've seen him act aggressively toward someone. But every time he's very protective with me. And then we ended up getting another dog that just came to us, and it's another long story. But anyways, the dog story, my husband one night, he was on his way home from work. It was about 9:00, and the dogs are always, I mean, if I didn't have them locked out, they would be sitting on either side of me right now. Right. And I was standing at the counter, and I was making my husband a mixed drink. And as soon as I poured the whiskey in the shot glass, I heard my husband's voice say, hey. Even the dogs heard it, and they Scooby-Dooed across the concrete and ran up to the door, and they thought he was up there, and he wasn't there. And they came back down, and they were looking around. And I looked at I checked my husband's location. He was still like 15 minutes away. And that's happened twice. And both times is when I was pouring whiskey in a glass. I think my theory on that is I used to live up by Bobby Mackey's. And after they tore Bobby Mackey's down, I went and got some things. I got some dirt from the well. I got some bricks. I got some wood from the floor. Yeah. And I brought that all back to the church. And after I brought that back is when we started feeling more that masculine type energy there. And I just feel like it was something from there, because both times it was when I was pouring whiskey in that's the only thing. But I've had 2 other teams tell me that they think there's a mimic there. They've set up their equipment and they actually set up all their equipment and went to the cemetery. And when they came back, they were going through their footage, and they heard a team member talking, but all the team members were gone, and they had recorded them talking. Yeah. So I don't know. Some people think there's a mimic there. I know that I would swear that I heard my husband's voice. I would have sworn that was him saying, hey.
And this is why I keep bottles like this in my equipment.
Yeah.
So we've got this is like the best trigger object ever.
It is. Yeah. So we've got a bottle of whiskey there that we tell people, if you want to play with it, go ahead and play with it. So
absolutely. Aaron's got, we both have a cigarette REM pod that looks like there's a cigarette in a cigarette case. And then Aaron has it's a Jack Daniels bottle, but it's a REM pod.
Oh, that's really cool.
That'd be really cool to use at the church. Aaron,
yeah.
I know you're listening. Just saying.
That's really neat.
I mean, I love whiskey. If I could pour a drink for myself just to get something, I'll finish it for sure. I promise. You have no worries about finding a cup somewhere. But let's get into one more video.
Okay.
No way.
Now, I don't know how I feel about orbs. I really don't. I feel like there is dust and there's things, but that seemed so
That literally
intentional.
came right to the camera.
Yeah, and we've got a few of those on there, and we get a lot of dust in there. We had like that, those little beetle thing that looks like ladybugs, and you can tell when it's them, and you can tell. I try to. I don't want to go like, oh, it's an orb, but that seemed so intentional.
Absolutely. Let me play that one more time. Yeah, because it literally goes from the ground all the way to, like, it's literally like, hey, look, it's a camera.
Yeah.
It literally came up and was like, what's up?
Yeah.
Wow. I want to play it one more time. Just the freaking transparency of it. Just the way that it like changes forms pretty much on the camera.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we've had a few of those.
Wow. Yeah. See, that's a great idea. I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's wow. Do you see that with your own eyes too?
I have not seen it with my own eyes. I see with my own eyes, we do see a lot of shadows. We see a lot of times you'll just see like a flash or something. What I've seen is there's darker shadows around the window, and I always get the feeling that there's something that wants to come in that can't come in. Something darker that wants to come inside. And a lot of times we'll hear talking outside. You will swear there's a whole conversation. I've thought there's been men outside, and I've like taken the gun and walked outside, and there's been no one there. And a lot of teams have done that, and they've actually got it recorded, hearing voices. Now you can't make out the words. You can just hear muffled, but it's like a whole conversation. And and they've walked outside because they thought somebody was creeping around outside, and there's been no one there.
Wow. Holy wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I believe in orbs. That was just I can tell the difference between dust and bugs and all that. You can see the wings.
Yeah.
That was very intentional. Because it looks like it comes from the window all the way across right to the camera.
Yeah. And what's funny about that is there's a house on the other side of that window, and the lady has told me that she has a little child spirit in her house. And that corner over there by that window, we call that the kids' corner because that's where we hear like the kids, we hear giggling, or we'll hear, I don't know if I sent you the most recent because it just happened. My husband was over there and a car flew off the counter. I don't think I sent that to you because it literally just happened. But that's all in that kid corner. So I always wonder if this child is coming from her house into the church and back, because she swears that there's a child spirit over there.
Huh. They say that spirits can travel.
Yeah.
Hello, my good sir. Hello, Patrick. That's my buddy. Yeah, let's get into one more video. That is crazy. Have you guys set out any toys or anything? Cat balls?
Yeah.
Balls?
There's one of the videos is like it's like a UFO motion thing. It was like 3:00 in the morning, and I was just looking at the cameras. I was just kind of go through them to see if there's anything happening.
Yeah.
And that's set off that's been set off several times. Just, no one's at the church. Everyone, all these videos, unless you see another person or hear a person talking, this has all happened when the church has been totally empty.
Oh, wow. That is crazy. All right, let's get into one more. I'm sorry. I pre-clicked you guys. I'm sorry. All right, let's get into one more.
So that's just.
I think I missed it.
That's at the very beginning.
Okay. Sorry. Hold on. Oh, that
happens really fast. Yeah. So that kind of goes with that other one.
Okay. That's the crawl space.
That's the crawl space, and that panel just came flying out.
Wow.
Yeah. That's just another view of it from a different camera.
Right. I wonder is there a way that is it like a panel that you can move to get into that room, or?
It's like it has like a small little latch thing, and the door swings open.
Okay. I wonder if when we can investigate, that we just turn a camera or voice recorder on and just set it in there and shut the door.
That's what a lot of people do. They'll just open the door and put stuff in there. Yeah.
Huh. How old is the location? From 1800s.
Yeah, 1869.
1869. There you go. What was that? From the video, you said that's where the crawl space is, where you found the shoe.
Mm-hmm. It has like those slats on it, and just that one slat came flying out. Now, I don't know. It could have been loose. We don't know, but it sat up there for almost a year and never flew off until we took that shoe out of the crawl space.
Did you put the shoe back since?
No, we kept it out.
Okay. Got it.
Maybe I should put it back.
Yeah. So I'll wait to do that one. Actually, this is with somebody here. So let's play this and we'll talk about it next. So this is during renovations.
Yeah. Okay. So look at the end of the island over by that white chair at the end of that island. Did you see that little flash?
I saw something fall off.
Yeah. So that's a little toy car that we had sitting up on the island. That's my husband. And he was just over there one day and he was walking back out of the church and that car just flew off the island.
Wow.
Yeah,
Does that happen a lot? Can they move stuff? Do you have stuff missing and come back?
Oh, so I did. I have a ring that I always wear. And down in the basement, we've got some of the original pews that we used like around our table. And we had a dresser down there with a little dish, and I would put my rings in at the end of the day because I don't like to sleep with rings on. And this one ring just disappeared. It was just gone. I looked everywhere for it. I couldn't find it anywhere. And my dogs are going crazy. Several times, 2 different times, my husband was sitting at the table and he heard a little girl say mama. I never heard it. I tried to get the little girl to talk to me and she never would talk to me. But twice he heard a little girl say mama. But anyway, so this ring disappeared. I thought I'd lost it. I thought it fell off somewhere. I looked everywhere. Right. It's like a month later and I was dusting in those pews. They're all wooden pews, and wedged in the corner of that pew was this ring. And I don't know. I always think the little girl took it to give it to her mom. Yeah. I don't know, but I have no explanation of how it got all the way from the other side that was in a little dish on my dresser to be wedged in the corner of that pew.
Huh. I don't know. It's crazy.
And just me and my husband there. I mean, we have cats, but I don't know that they would have taken it that far. They would bat it around. Right, I don't think it would have been wedged in the corner.
Right. Huh. That's weird. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. Like that's gonna drive me crazy now.
Yeah.
I've listened. Good.
And we've had little things like nothing really. I was really surprised to see that car fly off because we always try to get the cars and we've got some little toys and stuff back there. And I don't know that they've been moved like to a different location or anything like that. But for that car to have fallen off that
pretty good
that counter like that, yeah, I was like, wow. So my husband put it back up there and he was talking, trying to get them to do it again. And of course they didn't. I think, like you said, it probably took a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but so as far as things moving, other than the ring, which I didn't see it move, I just don't know how it got there, and then little things like that, but nothing. No, there are a couple videos you'll see where things moved, things got knocked down, but that was like during an investigation.
Right. Now, Patrick said, with the orb, did you blow up the pic to see if there was a face?
Okay, I am totally dumb on how to do that stuff. I don't know how to do that. So if anyone wants to blow it up and see what they see, you're more than welcome. But I do not know how to do those things. I can barely operate the cameras as we have them.
Fair enough. I was going to say, if you send me, I could chop that up. Let me see what I can do. If I can, I'll figure it out.
Okay, cool.
But before we get to any more videos, Underworld Ministry does have a sponsor, and I like keeping her happy. So here's a video from our sponsor. What's up, Underworld Ministry? I just wanted to come on and let you know about our brand new sponsor, Incredible. You need banners, you need thank you cards, business cards, postcards, custom stickers. Let us know. You have a podcast, you need a new banner, go to Incredible. It's custom designs available, full print, professional layout assistance, small business friendly, quick turnaround. I use these stickers. You have bands, you have a paranormal group, you have anything that needs stickers, use Incredible. And if you see this video, use my promo code Underworld10 and you will get a discount on everything that you get. So, again, go to Incredible and tell them I sent you. Remember, always stay creepy. That is right. So if you use my code right now to get anything, use Underworld10 and you get 10% off your whole order. You're welcome, Kelly. So let's get into one more video because I'm loving these videos so far. I could talk about paranormal, watch videos all day long. So, yeah, let's get. Okay, I think I missed something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That was a team from, oh gosh, I want to say it's one of the jails, Randolph County or one of the jails. But when she steps back, she asked me to go back and look at our cameras because she said that something pushed that book. That the book that she's talking about is a binder of like all the information. There's some copies from the Historical Society and things like that. It just books, history about the church and stuff. And she said something pushed that book at her, and then you see her step back.
All right, let's play.
But then I know there was some of the equipment was going off up in the loft area. Like
I saw that.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what happened there. That's just something that she told me happened.
All right, let's play one more time. Let's see if we can see the book move.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
No, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I can hear your dogs barking.
They are going crazy. I don't know what they're barking at down there, but.
All right. let's get into one more so we can make the dogs happy. What?
That was up in the crawl space. I don't know if you can hear the sound. When I sent it, this, I don't know if the sound transferred, but right as that light lit up, you heard a big thump sound.
Huh? No,
And it
I
was
don't.
the only two people. The only two people there were laying there on their air mattress, and they had some equipment up in the crawl space.
Is that what's lighting up?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as soon as it lights up, you can hear a thump sound.
What is this? A little crawl space?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's the crawl space where we found the shoe.
Okay. Let's look at that one more time.
So it's like a motion detection or something up
Yeah.
there.
Huh. I didn't even notice the people laying down there until you said.
Yeah.
I was more focused on the equipment.
Yeah.
So are you allowed to stay there while you investigate overnight, or yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to bring your own air mattress and everything, or
Right. We don't have beds, but yeah, everything. Okay. We have electric, Wi-Fi, bathroom, refrigerator, microwave, coffee pot, all that stuff. We just don't have beds.
Got you. I do love a good coffee in a haunted church. Sounds great.
Well, it's not the best. It's just like one of those little coffee pod things. It's not the best, but it'll get you through.
Coffee's coffee to me. It ain't got to be perfect. It's just got to be dark and strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get into one more. Oh, wow, something fell off the table.
Yeah. And it was the two people there, and they were laying there sleeping, and something just fell off the table.
Did you have that stuff happen when you were living there too?
I don't know if I noticed it so much. Things would fall, things would make noise, and it just kind of got to be
normal.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But we also had the cats, so a lot of times I would be like, "Oh, the cats knocked something off or something." So with the animals there, it was kind of hard to say, "Oh, it's definitely paranormal." But yeah, things would happen. But we didn't have the cameras and stuff up when we lived there.
Yeah.
That came later, so things would happen, and like I said, it was just you just kind of got used to it, really.
Right. Now, when you said, we got one more comment before I get into that question. I mean,
they're hard. I wouldn't sleep on one.
It's not very comfortable to me, but I'm sure you could, I guess.
Yeah.
Your hip and back probably won't enjoy it, but
yeah, you'll be feeling it the next day.
So, when you said that you can't get anybody to come and work for you to fix the plates up, other than the crazy murder guy, is that like paranormal, or is that just the location they don't want to come in there?
It's just that there's not a lot of people that do that kind of work around. It's so small. The community is so small. Right. And a lot of times, like if they hear, oh, it's a church, and they're like, oh, and then they say it's a small church. It's not like a big commercial job. I've heard other people say that, like a lady I work with, she's been trying to get a deck built for 1.5 years and can't find anybody to build a deck. Wow. Now there is one guy and his sons, they're really good. They're the ones that framed out that loft area that you saw in the one video. But to get on his schedule, he's like 1 year out. Wow. Yeah. So even our new house, we want some things done, even to put up a fence outside. He was like a 6-month wait to get a fence put up. Wow. And then it's just, we did have a little bit of a paranormal thing happen with them. I was telling them, I was like, oh, you guys are going to get they're in their hammer and they're like building this whole loft area. And it was a man and his two sons and his two sons' friends. He's teaching them, the trade. And I said, oh, you guys are going to stir it up. And they had a radio that they would listen to while they were working. And one day they were up there and they came running down the steps and they're like, what did you do? What did you do? And I'm like, what do you mean? What did I do? They were getting ready to leave. They were closing up for the day. They turned the radio off. They were at the door and the radio came on. And they thought I did something. I'm like, how would I have done anything? So the dad said, oh, that's just crazy. Just unplug it. Just don't worry. Just unplug it. So they unplugged it, got to the door again, and it didn't come on, but it was like static came through and it was unplugged. So I don't know. I don't know if that was just like, it still had a little bit of juice in it or something. Yeah. But or maybe it was something else. I don't know. But I mean, we've not had problems with people coming because of paranormal or anything like that. It's just you just can't find people to do the work around here.
Fair enough. Now, when they were there working on the loft, did they mention anything? Like, do you know this place is haunted, or?
A couple of times the kids would say, and I say kids, they're in their mid-20s. They would say things like, they like one of them told me that like a hammer got misplaced or something. But I mean, there's like 5 people up there working. I could see like I don't think our ghost took a hammer, but but they mostly just really didn't. The dad was like shutting it down, like that's enough of that nonsense. He really didn't want to deal with it. So other than the radio thing that happened, I don't know that anything really happened.
Got ya. Now, Patrick, how long was the church abandoned before you bought the building?
Not very long. It was operational up until about 2020. And right when COVID hit, when everything shut down for COVID, they never opened back up.
Oh, wow. So this is this is recent.
Yeah, we were the third owners. Yeah. Some local people bought it. Then they sold it. They only had it a few months, and they sold it to a couple they were going to renovate it and make it a wedding chapel. And I think they got in there, and there was a lot of termite damage, and there was like, it had like a 100 amp electric thing, and like it just needed a lot of. There was a sump pump in the basement, like just like little things that you needed to have done. But the biggest things I think was the termite damage. Like my husband had to go in and replace all the joists under the floor, put in a subfloor, the doorway going from like the bell tower area into the church. It was just a single door, and you would just touch the door frame and it would just crumble from termite damage. So we had to tear all that out. Like the ceiling was just like crumbling. It's all plaster. It was just like falling down on you. So there were things like, I think once they got in there and realized that there was a lot, it's not a very wealthy community. It was a very small congregation. There weren't many people even going to church there when it was open. And they just didn't have the money they were just barely keeping it up as it was.
Just letting it rot around them.
Yeah. So then once they realized that there was going to be a lot more work, it wasn't going to be an easy make it a wedding chapel. They put it up for sale, and then we were the third owner. So we're the only the people since the church disbanded. We're probably the first people that's been there consistently and for a long time.
Got
yeah.
And you said you bought it during COVID?
We bought it in 2023, so coming out of COVID.
Okay, so about 3 years now. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Wow. So we have a couple more videos that I'm really excited to see because these videos have been great so far. Said, the spirits have to be so happy that you're preserving this building.
I think they are.
Now, dude, have you gotten any of the EVPs or anybody? They're like, yes, we approve. Yes, we.
They've actually said our names, and they've said that they like us.
Well, that's good.
So, yeah. And then they've said yes, that they do like what we're doing. So, yeah, we've either on the Oculus or like an EVP. So I think overall I think they were very nervous at first because we kind of came in and we just started doing stuff and
Right.
and then, but I think once we talk to them and they understand, I think they understand now that we're trying to preserve the building. That I'm pretty protective over it. I've turned people away from doing investigations just because I've got weird vibes. I didn't feel like they were going to be respectful to the church, and they just seemed more very antagonizing on some other content that I'd seen from these teams. And I just, I don't want people that do that. So, I mean, we're not making money off of this. We're probably the cheapest place around. It's just to share the church with everyone. So if I have to turn somebody away because I'm getting weird vibes, or I don't think they're going to be respectful to the church, or they're going to upset our spirits, then I will, because I just don't, that's not what I want for this. I don't want.
Right. I mean, that's a big thing with even me, Aaron. You have to be respectful. These were once human beings. They're, you piss a human off, they're going to get mad, they're going to get angry, and then the investigator leaves, and then the owner's got to deal with the aftermath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to upset them. I want them to be happy. I don't want them to. Just like anybody else, you wouldn't want somebody to upset your friends. They're not my friends, but you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't want somebody to be rude to your friends.
Right.
So
absolutely. 100% agree on that. So let's get into one more video.
that was it. That's just like that UFO motion light that I was telling you about. Okay. It's in a case with the doll and the shoe. And it just goes off randomly, probably about 4 times. I think it's gone off when no one's been in the church. The church has been totally empty, and it'll just go off.
No, I did see a coffin there. So I happen to have a skeleton in there from like a old fellow skeleton or something in there, or
no. So that we actually got that off Marketplace. It was just a Halloween prop, and what I wanted to do with that is I wanted to stand it up and make it like a comment where you could just tack comments up to it. But the lid, because it was just a Halloween prop, the lid it doesn't open up if it's standing. So we just have to shave the lid down. So we just have it sitting there now because we haven't even got around to do that yet. But what's funny about that is the night we brought that in, we brought it in, we set it up there, and we were driving home, and our cameras are because we have the app on our phone, and my cameras are like ding, 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 just going crazy. So I turn it on, and you can hear heavy walking, and like dragging, like furniture moving. So I really think that maybe they thought there was a funeral that was going on.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So a lot of times people you can move it around or close the lid or whatever, and people will close the lid and they'll bring flowers and put on there, and and make it like a funeral is like a trigger, and they'll get reactions from it, because that's a little bit in front of where the altar was, but that's about where a coffin would have sat during a funeral.
Wow. I was going to ask, if being a church, did they have funerals there? Did they have ceremonies or whatever,
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that until you said that. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But no, that makes a lot of freaking sense. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, the doll was found in the church. Any idea how old it is?
I don't. I have no idea. Someone asked me if I should take it to an antique dealer and see if they could kind of like age it.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet. It does look handmade because the stitching's kind of off, and it one leg is shorter than the other, and so it does look handmade. But I don't really know anything about it.
It's got to be 16. Oh, well, no, you said 18. It's got to be 18. 1900-ish.
Yeah, I would think at least like the early 1900s.
Yeah. Huh. Now, being a KKK town, and you said ringing the bell to get, you better get in your house or we're going to get you. Maybe a little black child crawled up there to get out of the way or to hide or,
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it would be up there. And just, I don't know if there was ever an easier way up there
yeah,
or not, but like right now there's nothing. It's scary for me to get up there because it's like a really, really tall ladder and it kind of shakes because it's so tall, it kind of wobbles
yeah,
to get up there. So but there could have been an easier way. There could have been more. I don't know. Back in the day, there could have been an easier way up there.
right. Do you still have the bell in the tower?
Yeah, it still works.
Does it? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That talk about a trigger right there. Is it?
Yeah.
Is
So
it?
I always ring it before an investigation.
Do you? Okay, I was about to ask. I would definitely
Yeah.
want to ring that before the investigation for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's get into one more video. Whoa.
So that's in the same area where that camera on that other video fell off the table.
Okay.
That was a team, and they had gone out. I don't know if you could hear at the beginning, the music box was out by the door. They had gone outside to take a break, and they left their phone on like a little tabletop tripod recording.
Yeah.
And they messaged me. They're like, "Can you look at your camera at this time because something just happened? Something knocked our phone off the table." And so that's what that was. Is no one was in the church. There was an investigation that night, but they had left. They had walked out, and they were watching the live on another phone. They had left their phone on, and something just came over and just knocked it off the table.
I was gonna ask if like a spider or something went across the light, or I didn't think of a phone. Let me play that one more time now.
Yeah, you can kind of see the phone sitting up, like the light of the phone. It's kind of over on the like the left side, and it's just up on like a tabletop tripod. And then all of a sudden, you see like that shadow or something, and then the phone goes off the table. Yeah.
All right. Oh yeah, I do see the phone now. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's on a gimbal too. Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty sturdy gimbal too, because I have one of the same gimbals. And those, I mean,
really?
They're not hard. They're not, I mean, it doesn't take that much to knock it over. But if it's just sitting there on a table, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
I use my gimbal all the time, and it doesn't, I mean, unless the only thing I could think of, the gimbal, I don't know what year that is. I do know the gimbals, they're like, for some reason, they like glitch out and your phone will fall. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe the phone fell over.
Maybe.
I'm just thinking as an investigator wise, and like I know that piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not saying it's not, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Shadow Man.
We do see a lot of shadows there. We do, like, the shadows there sometimes are, there's a kind of a funny story. There was a team there, and my husband was out, and usually I meet the team because my husband's usually working or something, but he happened to be there with me one night, and this team was there, and I was kind of giving my spiel, telling the history, and one of the girls, she goes, "Oh, I need to sit down. There's some shadows, and I just feel overwhelmed." And I'm thinking, oh, she's gonna be one of those, she's like so dramatic. Yeah. And then it wasn't too much longer after that. My husband comes up and he's like, "I'm gonna take the dogs. I'm gonna head on out." And I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, these shadows are crazy tonight. So she was not being dramatic. It was like they were crazy, and they had a pretty wild night, like with the shadows and stuff. Not a lot of equipment evidence or anything like that. It was more just the personal, like the shadows and the things like that they were having a lot of trouble with. So
excited. I love shadows. Oh man. All right. Let's get into one more. Oh, we had two more actually. All right.
Okay.
Did those windows just get brighter?
What? Oh.
They sure did.
What?
Hell yeah, y'all. Let's do that again.
Now.
That's motion lights outside.
Oh, fuck.
I've got motion lights outside. Red hair.
Ledge.
Who has red hair?
Something just touched my fucking leg.
Well, you said it could.
Through need.
Wow.
So that was where the REM pod went off. That was up on the loft area, and there's a window right there. Now there is there's motion lights outside, but all night we were seeing lights outside, and I said, well, maybe it's an animal running through or something setting those lights off. But then the REM pod would go off when the light would go off outside. The REM pod would go off inside. And then, of course, Melinda said something was touching her leg. And yeah, it was that was a kind of a wild night too.
Have you?
I was actually investigating with them.
Well, while you lived there, were you ever touched by anything while you were there?
I feel like a couple of times. But again, like I said, we had the animals and the dogs. They are always on me. Like they don't know. There's no boundaries with them. So if it wasn't the dogs, it was like the cats brushing up or things like that. I don't know. A couple of people have told me that they've been touched. I felt like a couple of times something did my hair, which would not be the dogs or the cats.
No.
Again, I felt like it was more childlike or maybe a mothering type touch on your hair. Only a couple of times, but it's been so subtle. I'm kind of hesitant to say like, oh yeah, something definitely touched me because it was that subtle that it was. Yeah.
Oh, that's just curious. Just because she said she got touched, I was just curious with you living there.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I saved the longest one for the last one. So
okay, now this one I did get touched on this one. If it's the one I'm thinking,
it looks like a screen, like a SLS, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Jimmy.
What are you getting?
Jimmy. Look, my cat.
Oh. What the hell's that?
That looks like a little kid sitting by her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because you can see her.
That, I think, might be going dead, but maybe they just drained it. Yes.
What'd it say?
Yours said yes when I said maybe they drained it,
See
and it
that,
just said
James?
yes.
So you're seeing her image and you're seeing his. They're seeing something else next to her. They're, about, like, near, like, the EMF reader, I think.
Maybe not.
It's pretty wild, though, because
Look
that's
at,
going off.
what's
at the
this
same-
over here?
Yeah, I can't,
You see what I'm talking about? Looks like Kat's got her arm out, but she's not. See?
Yeah.
You see it? Mm-hmm. Can you raise your hand if you're by Kat?
It looks like it's moving closer to her.
Raise your hand up high.
Would be, that's flipped.
Look,
so
look. They're raising this
It
right.
would be your left, yeah. Because it's a flipped image for us.
I'm feeling tingling.
You're just messing. He's just over here messing with me.
Wow.
Yeah. So that it was flipped on the camera, but it was actually on my left side, and this whole left arm, I could feel this tingling all up my arm.
Wow. Maybe the spirits sit with you more than you know.
A lot of times people tell me that they get more activity when I'm there than when.
Well, for sure. Because you're
Yeah.
the property owner. You're the one that they know.
Yeah.
I love investigating with owners. Or like people like Patrick from he's caretaker for the Gilchrist County Jail. And I love investigating with Patrick because the spirits do not like Patrick at all.
Really?
It's very known they don't like Patrick at all. Patrick was an old sheriff for the county in the jail. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love investigating with owners because that's when you get the money. And then, like, you can tell the spirits be like, look, they're not here to hurt you. They're here to talk to you. You know, I like having the owners tell the spirits who we are, what we're doing.
Yeah.
Then the spirits are like, oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they were.
Yeah, I do that before every investigation. I'll go over and spend about an hour with them before I meet the team and tell them who's coming, that they're safe, that they don't have to be afraid. And I ask them to make sure they come out and play, and you know that people are coming to meet them, and that they just want to spend some time with them and get to know them. And so I do spend about an hour talking to them and letting them know that they're going to be okay, that they're going to be safe, that they can come out and no one's going to hurt them, and that people are just wanting to meet them, and that they're not going to hurt them.
Got ya. Now, I do have to ask, since I know you're so trustworthy of the spirits and the property and all this, you said no cleansing, no anything, no sage, no. Do you allow Ouija boards? Do you allow stuff like that? Like, I know not like rituals or anything, but, you know.
Yeah. As long as you're not crossing any spirits over or anything like that. And I do allow Ouija boards depending on the team. Now, if it's like a younger group and they just want to go in there, and I don't normally like to have I like to verify people and know they're part of a team and know what their real intentions are. I've had people thinking they could just go like have a party over there. So I do, if the people know what they're doing and they're experienced with Ouija boards, I don't mind. Because a lot of people do use them, in all investigations and in different reasons. And I don't have anything against that. I'm okay with that. It's just if they're not really sure what they're doing with them, I just like to know that they know what they're doing with them.
Right.
Because I think many of this is just a divination, right? It's like just a different tool to use. Yeah. But yeah, I just don't like. I just would rather not have cleansings and things like that in the church, because I've done my own protection things for the church, and I've done my own rituals for protection and for good harmony and all that, and I just don't want any of that to be messed up.
No, that's absolutely fair. I mean, me and Aaron were the Nickerson Sneed House in Virginia. They had like a little gift shop area, and Aaron bought a board, and she's like, use this board in this house. Like, so that's why I always ask people doing investigations and all that, because people like you are like, is this your first time, or is it your 100th?
Right.
I don't want to leave and the freaking demon become popping out around the corner like, ooh.
Yeah.
Or like, who brought you? I was conjured here or something, like, no. You have to make it very clear you're here to talk to the spirits of this location.
Yeah.
So I do have a little thing. I'm not sure how old this is. You can correct it if it's wrong, but it was on your Facebook. So it's 150 up to 8 people from 6 p.m. to 10 a.m.
Yes.
Wow, that 150 per person or 150 for 8 people?
That's for the night.
That is.
As I said, people are like, we did have a couple of local people are like, oh, they're just trying to get rich off the church. I'm like, lady, if you think I'm getting rich off the church, you are crazy. we're not making any money off of this. It's really just to share it with people, and because it's such a cool place. It really is just a really cool little place. And it's just the people that love paranormal, it's just to share it with people. It's not, obviously we're not getting rich off of it, it covers
Right.
the expenses, barely, but and that's all. It's just to share it, because like I said, I don't know how long we're going to do it. We don't know what we're going to do once we get it completed. It's a ways out. It's going to be a few years before we get it completely finished, but it is a neat little place. And I do think that I think our spirits enjoy the company sometimes, and they like meeting people, and it's just a fun little place, and it's
Absolutely. Now, I do have, if anybody's watching right now, the QR code for the Spirits of Marco Facebook. I tried to find a website or anything. I couldn't find any. I didn't know if you.
I can barely work my cameras. I don't have a website.
That is fair. That is fair. So hit this QR code and it'll go straight to their Facebook, and you'll be able to message Kate about an investigation if you are interested.
Yeah, we have about 4 Saturdays left this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but we are booking for next year too.
I'm one of those.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I'm so excited now. They so with it being renovation and everything, I'm sure. Do you have anything coming up for the church? Do you guys have like events, or do you have fundraisers trying to raise money, or?
No, we don't. I work at the library in Linton, and we do a for a summer reading. I donated in like a guided investigation. So we have that. There's no ordinances, like I don't have to have permits or anything for investigations and tours. But if I do an event, I do have to have like a permit for an event. And I just really don't want to mess with all that. And plus, I just don't know what kind of event I would have. But yeah, we don't really have anything coming up. We thought about doing, so one of the a friend of mine that she did a YouTube like documentary type deal. We thought about doing like a screening and an investigation for that sometime in October. So I do have one Saturday blocked off for that, but I don't know if we're going to do anything or not. No, we don't really have anything big coming up. It's just open for investigations. That's it. Got ya.
But I am so excited to come and hang out with you and just see what this has to do. Speaking of events, I have an event. If you are anywhere in Florida or the surrounding areas, I will be doing Paracon. I'm doing a paranormal ghost and metal fest. So it'll be a paranormal Comic-Con thing, convention. And then later that night, it'll be a metal show. And this is a flyer for it. So it'll be in Tampa, Florida, and it will be February 27th next year, 2027, and it is the day before my birthday.
Ooh.
So if anybody wants to come and hang out, it is on the events on Facebook, Paranormal Ghost and Metal Fest. Kate, thank you so much for coming on the show and hanging out with us. And you're literally the first person that I can, well, not the first person, you're the first person out of the state that I can say that I did a podcast with, and I will see you later.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. You have a great evening, and I
you
will
too.
see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I don't